Hi again. So if you remember last week, we did a piece inspired by Andy Warhol, where I talked to you a little bit about printmaking techniques, and even though we didn't use any printmaking techniques, we will this week. So like Andy Warhol, the artist of this print is very famous for printmaking. And so this is actually one of the most famous prints of all time, probably the most famous print. It's called The Great Wave off Kanagawa. And so today I thought I would show you how to use printmaking techniques at home to create a similar effect to this piece. So I ended up creating this, and I used similar techniques to what the artist of that piece did. And so the way printmaking works is essentially you have a stencil or a stamp sort of piece, and you carve it out of some sort of cardboard or any other material. Some people use wood. I've done printmaking with something called linoleum, which is basically a rubber that you can carve into with knives, and then you just roll ink onto it and press it onto your canvas or whatever you're using. And then that will create a reverse image of the print that you created in order to make your actual piece. And see, this is what I created a while ago out of linoleum. It's very inked up, and you can't really see it very well, but as you can see, it kind of looked like this before, and then I cut into it and carved out these little shapes. And then whenever you put ink over it, what's remaining is the part on top. And so I did that a while ago, but today I thought I would cover an easier technique just to do at home. So in order to do this, I started out by doing a sketch of a wave on a piece of cardboard. And I just cut this cardboard out of a cardboard box. It doesn't matter what shape it is. You can probably even use, if you have it, wood or linoleum like I showed you. You could even use paper like a cereal box. Any flat surface of some sort of material will probably work. So then what I did was I traced out the wave shape that I drew in Sharpie, and then I cut out that wave shape, and then I saved that for later. Then what I did was I cut out a bunch of other shapes out of the piece of cardboard, and so as you can see, as I was doing this, you could actually see the image forming with the layers of cardboard. And then what I did was I took blue, white, and black acrylic paint. You can probably use ink if you have it, or you can use poster paint or really any kind of thicker paint that you have. And then what I did was I started out with a white triangle in the background to sort of create a mountain. I painted over the cardboard with a paintbrush and then stuck it onto the paper and ripped it off. The only problem I ran into was you're going to need to use a lot more paint than you think you will. So you're going to want to put a lot of paint on there. And then once you press it down onto the paper, don't press it too hard because the paint could act as a glue, and then you'll stick your cardboard piece to the paper, which you don't want to happen. And then what I did was I took off the piece of cardboard, and you could see I just had a white mountain in the background. And then I took my wave that I did and painted over that with a light blue. And I did the same thing that I did with the mountain. You just got to make sure that you're fast because the paint will dry. And then I did the same with a darker blue mountain in front of that one. And then I actually had out of the cardboard scraps, I didn't even plan this, but I had something that kind of looked like a whale, so I just covered it up in blue paint and pressed it on top, and I actually was able to create a whale in the foreground. And so a big factor of this whole piece is to use layers to your advantage. So I would recommend starting out with the lighter colors in the background and moving on to the dark colors. So as you go forward, it's going to be darker. Because if I were to have started off with a really, really dark color, like a gray or something, instead of this white, the next one wouldn't have shown up as well. And more than likely, it wouldn't look like you're layering, it would just kind of look like shapes on top of each other. So I'd recommend starting out with your lightest color, going to your darkest color. So just really take into consideration and plan out what you're going to do before you do it. And then I just took a paintbrush and I sort of added some accents onto the waves. And then after I did all of that, I was done. And so that's a pretty simple way to try some printmaking techniques at home. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you try this out. See you next week.